This story began 32 years ago. A British woman named Cheryl Thomasgood fell in love with a Maasai warrior. For the sake of love, she gave up everything and chose to live with him in the wild African jungle. But what challenges did they have to face to be together? What happened to them 32 years later? And what does their daughter look like today? Watch the full video to find out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get started. Cheryl Thomasgood was born and raised in England. By her mid-30s, she was living a quiet and ordinary life on the Isle of Wight, a small and peaceful island off the southern coast of England. She worked as a hairdresser, was married for the second time, and was raising 3 young children. From the outside, her life seemed perfectly fine. But on the inside, Cheryl was struggling deeply. She had carried the weight of childhood trauma for many years, pain that had never truly healed. She was also unhappy in her marriage and felt trapped in a life that no longer made her happy. Then, in 1994, a friend from her church choir suggested that she take a trip to Kenya to clear her mind and escape for a while. Cheryl agreed, not knowing that this journey would completely change her life. She boarded the plane and eventually arrived at Bambari Beach Hotel in Mombasa, one of Kenya's most famous tourist destinations. One night, a group of traditional Maasai dancers came to the hotel to perform for the tourists. Among them was a tall and striking warrior named Daniel Lekamencho. He stood 6 feet 2 inches tall, wore traditional red Maasai clothing, and was 10 years younger than Cheryl. The moment she saw him, she was completely overwhelmed. Later, she admitted, "When I saw him, I was stunned by his physical appearance. I knew I couldn't go on with my life without him." After the performance, Daniel approached her and invited her to dance with him. The two spent the rest of the holiday together, exploring the coastline, talking for hours, and feeling a connection neither of them had expected. Cheryl discovered a world she had never seen before in Daniel. Everything about the Maasai was so different from the Western world she knew. She later recalled, "He was the first man who truly listened to what I had to say, and he wasn't blinded by material things or money. We became inseparable shortly after we met." But when the holiday ended, Cheryl faced a painful decision: return home to her husband and children, or follow her heart into the unknown. In the end, she chose Daniel. In late 1994, Cheryl packed up her life and returned to Kenya. She left her husband and her 3 children behind and moved into Daniel's mud hut in a remote Maasai village deep in rural Africa, far from everything she had ever known. Her new life was completely different. She helped Daniel cook, clean, and hunt. She slept on goat skins and survived on a simple diet of cabbage and, surprisingly, cow's blood. Back in the UK, her decision caused enormous controversy. Newspapers, television programs, and talk shows constantly discussed her story. Many people could not understand why a middle-class woman with a family would give up everything to live in extreme poverty with a Maasai warrior she had only recently met. Almost nobody understood her choice. For a few months, Cheryl tried to adapt to the traditional Maasai way of life, but the harsh conditions soon became exhausting and took a toll on her health. In 1995, she and Daniel decided to move back to England and settle on the Isle of Wight. That same year, on Valentine's Day, they got married at the Newport Registry Office. Both of them wore traditional Maasai clothing during the ceremony, and once again, their wedding made headlines across the country. But not everyone believed their love story was genuine. The British authorities were highly suspicious. The Home Office suspected that the marriage might have been arranged to help Daniel obtain British citizenship, so he was deported after his tourist visa expired. The couple spent the next 2 years fighting to prove that their relationship was real. In December 1995, the Home Office finally granted him a 12-month probationary visa. After winning the legal battle, they settled into married life with Cheryl's 3 children from her previous marriage. Then, in 1998, they welcomed a daughter together and named her Mitzi. For a short time, it seemed that the life Cheryl had sacrificed everything for was finally coming together. but the happiness did not last. Daniel, who had once been a happy warrior, satisfied with the simple things in life, started becoming obsessed with material possessions. He wanted a bigger house, designer clothes, and most importantly, money to send back to his family in Kenya. The change in his behavior deeply affected Cheryl. She began questioning his true intentions and wondering if he had really loved her from the beginning. Later, she admitted, "I doubted if he loved me and felt that he used me as a meal ticket to escape his life in Kenya. Once he was in the UK, everything became about him and what he wanted, and he always wanted more and more." The only moments Daniel seemed truly happy, she recalled, were when he was performing his traditional Maasai dances in the garden. Even after realizing that she may have made a mistake, Cheryl continued trying to make the marriage work. Part of her wanted to prove to everyone that her decision had been the right one. But over time, the cultural differences, emotional distance, and constant arguments slowly destroyed the relationship. In 1999, just 4 years after getting married, Cheryl and Daniel divorced. Later, Cheryl openly admitted that her choices had deeply affected her children, and that became her greatest regret. She sadly said, "I made a huge mistake. It was very wrong of me, and I have many regrets, especially about the pain it caused my children. Having a Maasai warrior as a father was not easy for them. Daniel tried his best, but he could never fully understand Western life or be the kind of father they needed." Today, Cheryl is 65 years old and lives a quiet and private life in a coastal village in Somerset, far away from public attention. She no longer has any contact with Daniel. She has been married 3 times in total and says she never plans to marry again. But despite everything, there is one thing from her relationship with Daniel that she would never change: her daughter, Misty. Cheryl has described her as the one good thing that came from her relationship with Daniel. And despite the complicated circumstances of her childhood, Misty has grown into a remarkable young woman. Today, she is 28 years old. She shares a warm and close relationship with both of her parents. She often posts photos with her father, Daniel, who remained in the UK after the divorce and later worked in a supermarket. She is also very close to her mother and her half-siblings. In fact, she was even chosen as a bridesmaid at her half-sister's wedding. A beautiful moment that showed just how strong those family bonds have remained, despite everything. From the photos Misty shares on Instagram, it seems she enjoys traveling and living adventurous experiences. However, it is not publicly known whether she has ever visited her father's Maasai tribe in Kenya or met her relatives there. It was a crazy love between 2 people from different worlds. Cheryl and Daniel could have been happy, but perhaps the gap between their worlds was too wide. Do you think Cheryl made the right choice when she followed her heart to Kenya all those years ago? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And that's it. If you enjoyed the video and want more like it, be sure to leave a thumbs up below in appreciation. And if you haven't already, you really want to subscribe. Subscribe to my channel and tick the bell icon so you get notified as I upload a new video every week. See you in the next video.